natin to para maayos ang pagrinig ng mga kameta sa atin. Yun. That's it. Ars Bayan. That's it. Hello mga kameta! Kamusta kayo dyan? Mga ka-Manila people? Para sa bayan, Manila. Nakabalik na tayo kasi bugbog tayo sa grabe yung mga hectic na schedule natin. Back to back. Pumuntang umuwi sa probinsya, sa Baguio, bisita kay Lola, and then boom! Pag-uwi, 11-12 p.m. within few hours, punta na naman dyan, fly dyan, Jakarta, ASEAN, and then boom, every morning, gising, balik. Ayan, medyo nabugbog na tayo mga kameta. But, dahil mahal na mahal namin kayo, hindi lang pang Bloomberg, BBC, CNBC, ganyan, CNN, yung mga level ng interview natin, balikan din natin ang Marites. Ang mga latest Marites sa Pilipinas. And speaking of Marites, mukhang eto na, natuloy yung suspension dun sa It's Showtime. Yan, It's Showtime, natuloy na po yung suspension ng It's Showtime na yan for almost 2 weeks dahil, it's like 6 days a week, hindi 7 days a week yating It's Showtime, di ba? Wala sa Sunday yata, di ba? So 2 weeks suspension na yan. Marami pong mga speculations about anong mangyari sa mga decision ng MTRCB, especially now that you have someone, related to Soto and someone, and then you have the whole Itbulaga and EAT kind of dynamic. So, medyo controversial yan. Sabi natin, patulan natin yan since interesting na yan. And, it raises also some interesting questions about regulation, regulation of the mediascape. At the same time, of course, mga kameta, nung last time medyo nag-live tayo, ito yung konteksto kung saan nanalo ang Pilipinas sa China. There was a super excitement. There was super kind of high over it. Not that kind of high, like good high, healthy high, green tea high. And, the next thing you know, apparently, that was the most possible graceful exit, honorable discharge, whatever, resignation path for Coach CHOT REYES. So, official na mukhang magkakaroon tayo ng bagong coach sa FIBA Gilas team natin soon, especially as we try to chase another slot to Olympics sa Paris next year. Is Paris, very social. Yan. Siyempre, talagang Japan, nakatatlong panalong Japan dito sa FIBA World Cup. So, obviously, Japan is very excited about their prospects in Olympics. Historic victory. So, Japan really leveraged their hosting of FIBA World Cup in ways that we unfortunately did not. So, pag-usapan din natin yan, yung mga potential replacements very shortly dahil kailangan natin ng pahinga. Hindi tayo Superman. So, pag-usapan natin yan, mga kameta. Alright, very quickly. First, let's go dito sa Marites sa ating showbiz. Pag-usapan natin itong latest suspension. Just to be clear, this is not the worst suspension. Back in the day, actually, you had the worst suspension that was 1 month yata, no? Kay Willie Revillame back in the day. And in that case, actually, napunta pa sa korte yung issue, di ba? So, 1 month actually yung suspension. Nung show ni Willie Revillame, and of course a lot of us are very familiar with the many controversial aspects of the host and his program throughout the years. So this is nothing new. So if you remember back in 2013, no? Nag-uphold ng Court of Appeals yung suspension of TV5 show Willing Willie by the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board or yung MTRCB dahil doon sa isang episode involving a 6-year-old boy dancing like a macho dancer. I mean, yan ang nakakairita sa atin. Nakakairita yun. Some people there, pag medyo sumikat-sikat na, medyo feeling nila kung sino sila, malakas sila dahil lang marami natutuwa sa show nila as if silang nagbibigay ng pera talaga sa tao. they pushed the envelope too much. So, in an 11-page decision, this is in 2013 by Second Division, penned by Associate Justice Manuel Barrios, the appellate court ruled that 1-month suspension handed down by MTRCB on Willie Revillame's show was valid due to, quote, offensive and obscene segment. Yun, offensive and obscene segment. What is clear is that respondent MTRCB validly and correctly performed its duty as enjoined by law in reviewing, assessing the subject content, and thereafter imposing the proper sanction where the content was found indecent, immoral, or obscene. Yun talaga. Indecent, immoral, and obscene. A review of the recording of the segment shows a 6-year-old boy gyrating like a macho dancer while being cajoled and goaded by the show's host and the audience. Walang yeah. Is commonly perceived as transpiring only in nightclubs and other shadowy establishment. Okay, so yun yung sinabi ng Court of Appeals doon sa kanilang desisyon, no? So yun. Of the 1-month suspension of Willing Willie show back in the day. Now, punta naman tayo dito sa latest suspension na bumaba. Ito yung sa It's Showtime. Pag-usapan natin yan. Because there has been a lot of anticipation around this. Obviously, things are also quite different nowadays because there's a kind of a noontime show war. Ayan, pag-usapan natin yan, mga kameta. So, MTRCB indeed suspending Showtime for 12 days. So, yung MTRCB on Monday suspended yung show for 12 days because of alleged indecent acts of romantic partners and hosts Vice Ganda and anong pangalan niya? Yung ba yung ano niya? Ion Perez during an episode broadcast last July. Ayon sa MTRCB, viewers have lodged multiple complaints before the MTRCB concerning the show's July 25 episode wherein in program's host allegedly acted in an indecent manner during one of its segments, Isip Bata. O baka medyo misinterpretation ng Isip Bata yung nangyari. Perez, as part of the Isip Bata segment during the July airing, smeared cake icing on his finger and licked it off. Okay, so medyo iba talaga. Talagang pataas ng pataas talaga ang level ng diskusyon sa ating bansa. Pataas at pataas talaga ang kalidad ng ating mga shows. Ito talagang gusto siguro ng ating mga talaga yung mga media companies natin. Kaya nga, paano naman tayo umangat bilang isang bansa? Para naman tayo maging isang mature democracy, para naman tayo magkakaroon ng high quality na diskurso sa mga bagay-bagay, kung mga showtime show noontime show natin na supposedly pinaka-popular and maraming tao na dyan, mga ganitong kalidad ng informasyon, no? Or entertainment po ang pinaparating sa ating mga kababayan. Yan talaga. I mean, for me, you can do a sociological study and look at, the strong correlation between yung quality ng ating entertainment, our important shows, what sells a lot for the big media company. Of course, they're gonna boost all their money on this host. They're gonna pay them millions, some of them millions of dollars, and then look at what they offer to our people. But anyway, I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to share. All right? So ayon sa Henshaw, the act was a violation of Section 3, Paragraph C of Presidential Decree number 1986. So medyo before pa ako pinanak. No, or the MTRCB chapter. In accordance with the Presidential Decree, the MTRCB Charter, the respondents may file one motion for reconsideration or MR within 15 days after receipt of decision. So, let's see how this is going to go. In the case of Willie Revillame, of course, pina-appeal yan sa Court of Appeals, pero natalo siya. Should the board's decision be adverse to the respondent's MR, they may appeal to the Office of the President within 15 days from the receipt of the decision on the MR. President BBM naman. For its part, ABS-CBN, yung show creator, although this is now being shown on GMA Network, nagsama-sama, said it would file a motion for reconsideration, but added that, quote, we humbly maintain that there was no violation of pertinent law. We're also committed to working with the MTRCB to ensure that its Showtime can continue to bring joy and entertainment to our noontime viewers. We are truly grateful to the Madlang people for the unwavering love and support for its Showtime. O, yan. Siyempre, yun yung cash cow ngayon. So, medyo mahirap yun pag suspended yan. So, tingnan natin how things are gonna move forward. As I said, malaking bagay yan, especially amid the three-way war na meron tayo sa noontime show. Tipong-tipo na, this is so important that bati tayo pumapatol na sa mga ganitong issue na yan. But yeah, so we have a very clear precedence, no? When even the Court of Appeals upheld a decision, 1 month suspension in the case of Wheeler Revilla, kasi obscene, indecent, immoral, di ba? Bastusan, di ba? Ang dating. Or, remember, this is, this is free TV ata to, di ba? So anyone can watch it. And, walang parental control, whatever. So, MTRCB is very much within its own bounds to make the right decision on this. Now, obviously, unfortunately, there are many crazy stuff there on internet, TikTok, whatever. But talagang obligasyon nito ng ating mga big media companies or sometimes nagsama ng media companies to make sure na, yeah, I have nothing against entertainment, pero ito yung problema sa ating bayan. No? Pansin niyo, wala pa tayong satire. We don't have anything close to the kind of, night shows that we see, abroad. Wala, hindi yung comedy natin, hindi pang witty eh. Hindi yung pang malaliman ng pag-iisip na, yung comedy natin, puro mga ganyan level, no? Now, sometimes indecent, and suspension sometimes not so indecent, but still, we still don't have witty, yung medyo malalim na comedy to really elevate yung level of discourse. Yung po talagang kulang sa ating bansa. And as long as these are the kinds of show that we consider as the ultimate form of entertainment, good luck na lang sa Pilipinas. Alright, now, speaking of good luck sa Pilipinas, let's transition to another important topic, and that's Gilas Pilipinas, because that's, of course, the other important national issue. Of course, dalawa lang naman importante sa atin. Entertainment and entertainment, either in terms of itong mga comedy, mga ganyan, or in terms of basketball. So, pag basketball naman, okay, now, medyo masaklap yan because Coach Chot Reyes had many emotional reactions dito sa mga sinasabi ng tao dahil dun sa performance niya. Unfortunately, there was a lot of, really, I agree with him, there were a lot of talagang sobrang below the belt na sobrang mali talaga na mga atake sa kanya. As I said, it's fascinating how when it comes to basketball and coaching of basketball, napaka-passionate natin and napaka-taas ng standards natin, like, it's not easy to qualify for the FIBA World Cup. Nandun tayo sa Indonesia, yung Indonesia nga wala sa games because they couldn't qualify for it. So, hindi siya automatic qualification. You have to really fight for that. And Philippines is still one of the best teams in Asia, at least, no? Although, I think, look at it. Both Dominican Republic and Italy did pretty well, no? And they have made it to the next round. So, that tells you na us keeping those fights close, it means something. It means something. So, ito sabi nito ni Coach Chot Reyes, ito, bastos, brutal. Yun daw yung responses sa kanya. Tingnan, mahal na naman kayo kahit, ganyan na tayo go. Ito. Pag-usapan natin yan. So, ito for Coach Reyes, medyo unfair na. And unfair na yung mga comments, binabastos na siya. So, after announcing his intention to step down as Gilas coach, sabi ni Chot, it's just been brutal. You all know you're part of it, right? It's just been brutal. Never mind on me, but on my family, on my loved ones. Medyo mali yung preposition. It's just brutal, no? I will never turn my back to serving my country, but there's a point where I just need to think about my health and my family's health as well. I mean, in fairness kay Chot, pumuti talaga yung hair niya. No? I mean, you could see the effort, yung pressure, and sorry, boss. MVP says Chot Reyes apologized for Gilas Pilipinas disappointment, and of course accordingly he's stepping aside as Gilas Pilipinas wrapped up its FIBA World Cup run. Of course, hindi pa tapos ang FIBA World Cup, which is interesting because I'm watching the FIBA World Cup, or following rather the FIBA World Cup kasi wala tayong cable, because for me, nakita niyo, natalong US, diba? And sa Lithuania, if I'm not mistaken, right? One thing we noticed dito sa FIBA World Cup is napaka ganda ng performance ng mga Eastern European countries. Even yung mga maliliit like Montenegro, the larger ones or semi-larger ones or more known ones, whether it's Lithuania, Latvia, Slovenia, of course, Luka, I think, is the best player out there ever, at least, best player in our time, at least, in these years. So if you look at Slovenia, Lithuania, Latvia, Montenegro, a lot of these countries are easily standing up, and in the case of US, they even beat the superpowers. Greece, wala na. Spain, yung defending champions. US natalo ng Lithuania. So I think if you look at dito sa FIBA World Cup, it might give you an idea about where we should go. Because actually, as of now, ito po yung mga 6 candidates na tinitignan ng Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas. Reportedly, as a candidates to replace CHOT Reyes. One is Tab Baldwin. I think a lot have been talking about him. Nenad Vocinic, Rajko Toroman, Charles Tew, Tim Cone, Jimmy Alapag, and Norman Black. Now, my sense is, of course, there are at least 2, si Toroman and Vucinic, na Eastern European. In the case of Toroman, of course, we know back in the day, he played a very important role in the success of 2 Asian teams. Not one, but at least 2 Asian teams. First in Iran, and that helped Iran actually to win back-to-back championship in Asia. And of course, the dominance of Iran in Asia effectively came to an end in this World Cup, where I think they were the worst performing Asian country, even though they were ranked second just after Australia, since biglang sinama ang Australia sa region natin. So that era of hegemony is over. Also, legends like Hamid Haddadi also just resigned, effectively retired na. So Iran has to rebuild its team, but they have some very, very good young players, up-and-coming young players, including one 18-year-old who's very much in contention to go to NBA after his stint in France. So Iran is working on that, but Toroman played a very important role behind the rise of Iran, but also also Philippines. I think the years that he was in charge of the Philippines really brought some sort of discipline and purpose to us. The thing kasi dito sa mga Eastern European countries is that, well, first of all, their coaches are not super mahal and overrated, like, I don't know, American coaches or some, I don't know, Western European coaches, or Western coaches. No, I mean, I don't think they're that expensive. We afforded them in the past, and I think we can still afford them. The second thing is, they're good in tactics, right? Because yung Eastern European teams individually, I mean, Luka is fantastic and all, but they don't have the kind of athleticism, explosiveness that we see with NBA players, and also like Jordan Clarkson type of players. But there's a lot of reliance on long shots. Grabe yung mga 3-point shots nila, yung mga shooting techniques, yung Lithuania, Latvia, amazing. And then of course there's tactics. There's tactics. How you spread the burden. You don't over rely on one player. So like we did in the case of Jordan Clarkson, no offense to others. I mean, it was very clear. And then you maximize the strengths of each of the players, a bench and the first 5, whatever. And at the same time, you make sure yung weaknesses can be more than compensated by teamwork. So dito talaga sa tingin ko, magaling talaga mga Eastern Europeans. And I think having an Eastern European coach, next coach, is something I'm very, very much interested in. In fact, there's an article right now about possible replacements. Well, a lot, you know, there's also a lot of concern about whether anyone is willing to step up and take over FIBA, Gilas, Pilipinas. Kasi medyo mahirap tong trabaho na to eh. It's a very difficult job. And there's a lot of expectations. Kaya nga sabi ko, yun yung interesting sa atin eh. So the National Basketball Federation is not expected to make an announcement on the Philippine men's basketball team's new coach until after the FIBA. So this is what we already knew before pa, di ba? The FIBA ends on September 10, while basketball action in the Asian Games in China will open on September 26. So Toroman looks like an option so far. Gilas deputy coach Tim Cone has said that he's not interested in taking over as head coach for the Philippines. So will any other former Philippine team coach be resigning? So I said Toroman, I think, is one very good one who handled the Philippine team from the Gilas, is back in Manila. So it looks like Toroman could be one of the top ones. By the way, I didn't mention Serbia also performed pretty well. The Serbian coach said he's focused on his work as consultant for Converge in the PBA and College of St. Benilde in the NCAA, but might consider helping out the Philippine team again. However, he stressed that nobody has approached him about getting back on board with the BSP. Sabi niya, I was not thinking that I can be the next coach of Gilas. That was out of my mind. I'm just focusing on the things that I'm doing right now. All right, so Toroman looks like another option. And then, of course, we're also looking at people like Justin Brownlee. Is set to rejoin Gilas, no? To help us with the Asian Games dito sa Hangzhou. By the way, yung coach natin ng cycling sa Hangzhou, nakita natin yata dun sa flight natin. Good luck din sa inyo. Yeah, so let's see. So it looks like I mean, personally, if not Toroman, someone of his caliber, someone with kind of an Eastern European background, I think would be perfect for the Philippines because we already have that athleticism, explosiveness that we see in teams like America or Australia or even Argentina at some point. And Dominican Republic, but what we really work on, we need is tactics, techniques, and I think really Eastern Europeans are superpower in that. I mean, I won't be surprised that this year may isang mananalo dito Eastern European, or at least dun sa semifinals, we might see multiple Eastern European countries there, post-Soviet bloc, whatever, however you want to put them. So again, Tab Baldwin, Vocinic, Toroman, Charles Chu, Tim Cone, Jimmy Alapag, Norman Black. Ito yung mga kinoconsider nila. Pero ako, for me, to be honest, sana yung main coach natin, yung coach ng Heat, di ba? At saka yung ngayon, isa sa mga coaching staff sa US team. Because, you know, I hope yung mga Filipino-Americans in the NBA, especially you know who, di ba? Who have done very, very well at the highest levels. Kahit 1-2 years lang sila sa Pilipinas sana, kind of give back naman to the other country. I mean, you come back here as heroes, etc. You talk about your Filipino heritage and all of that. Siguro naman, give a year or two. No, give a year or two. Sa Pilipinas until we kind of get back into groove, we get back to confidence. So I definitely see Eric Spoelstra. No, for me is one interesting person. I mean, I know sasabihin nyo na parang masyadong mataas yung ating expectations or but I mean, this guy has proven himself at the highest levels already, right? With the Miami Heat and all of that, and he's half Pinoy. He's very strongly, at least he says, he's strongly steeped in his Filipino identity. So, I mean, how I wish that one day people like him, no, yung mga ibang Filipino-American, I hope hindi nila ma-discover ang Pilipinas pag medyo laos na yung career. Yun talaga. I hope while they're kind of still at their peak or close their peak, you know, they come back and help the Philippines in whatever capacity. And for me, Eric Spoelstra, it would be perfect for the Philippines, to be honest. I know medyo mahirap, pero libre naman mangarap eh. But I hope someone like him, no? There's a Pinoy heritage, there's a Pinoy connection. We always talk about him as the first Asian American, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Pero sana naman, di ba, mag-contribute. Kasi clearly, may vacuum tayo ng leadership and coaching. And I really feel for CHOT Reyes. I mean, I have my own concerns with him and all, about the coaching and all of that. But in fairness to the guy, you know, like, looks like not many people are lining up to get the job, or the ones that we want to take the job are having second thoughts for whatever reason because they feel siguro the expectation is too high kumpara dun sa what can be delivered or yung mga deliverables in the short run. But that's my point. Sana naman we get someone like Eric Spoelstra, or for me, at least in the meantime, let's get some of these Eastern European coaches who are doing a fantastic, fantastic job. Jimmy Alapag, did Jimmy also go to NBA recently, right? To help out? Maybe also can be there in the mix. But yun nga, like, we really need gold standard coaches, or at least silver standard coaches, to get the ball rolling, to get the kind of respect, to get the kind of groove. Because, again, as I said, yes, disappointing if you just look at the raw record, 4-1? But if you look at how close we kept it with Italy and with Dominican Republic, compared to how tinatambakan tayo of 30, 40, 50 points yung mga ganitong team, especially like Italy back in 2019, you will be hopeful about where the Philippines is going. You'll have more confidence about the Philippines doing better, especially as Kai Soto gets into groove. Hopefully, we'll have more of Jordan Clarkson in other games, other big games. Hopefully, we make it to Olympics so that we can have Jordan Clarkson there. And then Edu, I think he was definitely the breakout star. And of course, Ramos also did fantastic. So we have many very good players, but we need the right coaches, the coaches that bring confidence, but coaches who can also speak their mind and said, wag kayong umasa kagad, wag kayo masyadong harsh, give us some time, we need to get into groove, we need to build this up, etc. And yun nga yung sinasabi ko, siguro medyo masyadong expectation natin sa coaches natin as of this time, or too passionate about it, in the same way na ang baba ng expectation mo nga natin pagdating sa mga political leaders natin. So, sana magkakaroon ng balance. Sana we're a little bit more demanding in terms of the kind of leaders we elect into office, especially at the highest levels. At the same time, perhaps a little bit of realism, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt if we try to get people like Eric Spoelstra, etc., down the road to come to the Philippines. I think if we do well, let's say let's get a good coach, whether it's Jimmy Alapag or we get some great Eastern European coach, we make it to the highest level, win an Asian championship, make a win or two in the Olympics and some of this big game, maybe then we can get the attention of Eric Spoelstra. He's still very young, and I think he'll still be around for quite some time, God willing. So hopefully we can get those kinds of coaches with Filipino heritage, operating in the NBA. I think Jimmy Alapag is in that direction also now. Then work it from there. Build it from there. Build it from there. All right? Thank you very much, mga kameta. I hope you appreciated our discussions today. As you see, medyo slightly under the weather tayo, but you know naman how passionate we are about the Philippines, gaano ka natin kamahal ang Pilipinas. And for everything I say about basketball, etc., for me, the fact that the Filipino people love this sports, that it matters to the Filipino people, then it matters to me. Even though I'm more a football guy, for all the reasons I explained to you guys, right? But at the same time, hopefully wag natin kalimutan yung mga ibang successes din natin. One win against China was important. It was very sweet. Yung ibang senador dyan, kung ano nang pinagagawa. But I hope in the meantime, we don't forget about other athletes who are actually delivering at the highest levels. And they're not getting the kind of attention that they deserve and commensurate dun sa kanilang success. That's very, very important. Very, very important that we give the attention. So just last night, mga 1 a.m. or something na share natin, ito si EJ Obiena, no? Nanalo siya ng gold medal. Gold medal. Ito na, back siya sa number 2. Yun nga, kasi nakasabayan yung isang GOAT eh. Pero yun nga eh, like, sana naman we also give more resources. I mean, how much, aminin natin, makaling ginastos, binayaran, I mean, sa pagka, di ba, I've been told na medyo, pag naglaro ka sa Gilas or something, especially kung nasa NBA ka, I mean, like, just think about the amount of money and resources we put into FIBA World Cup, the amount of resources we put, the amount of attention, love, whatever, whatever, over all these basketball players. Fantastic, great. But sana, in the meantime, let's not forget about the Filipino athletes who are not just getting 1 win out of 5. We're not just beating China of this world. I mean, what is China in basketball, globally speaking, no offense. But they're like winning world championship. And EJ Obiena just won the gold medal dun sa Berlin international competition. He's at least number 2 in the world right now, and he would have been a world champion had he not been siguro kasabay ng isang GOAT. But I mean, but EJ Obiena is still going for it, and I'm glad that there are at least some people like, I know, the Ayalas who are supporting him. Some of these folks are stepping up to the plate. But sana naman sa ating bansa we give more support, more attention, commensurate dun sa success na nakuha natin. Because yung basketball, 4-1, di ba? Tingnan nyo naman ang amount of resources we put into it. Also sweet yung victory. Single victory. But sana, we also, pay more attention to the EJ Obienas of this world, right? And EJ Obiena actually is the lucky one because he still got some level of scrutiny. He has good social media presence. Napansin natin dyan. But I know there's so many na magaling. Softball, baseball, weightlifting, at least medyo on the map na tayo. Up-and-coming boxers. Football natin, at least, no choice. Talaga we had to pay attention. Like, first World Cup pa lang, may panalo na kaagad, di ba? Like, so you can see the ROI is very high on these sports. And it hopefully just become more invested in the sports and more appreciative of the sports. And who knows, the Philippines could be a much more well-rounded, globally competitive sporting nation. Way more than we are today. On that note, thank you very much and God bless. Thank you very much and God bless, guys. Or wait lang, sige, mag-thank you muna tayo. Nasaan na tayo? Nasaan na? Ayan, hilo-hilo na. Ayan, thank you very much. Ayan na mga, natin, Noy Mitsablate, Benvenido Choi, salamat kay JC Cisneros, yan. Kay Ma'am Jocelyn Lumbere, as always, thank you very much. Kay Madrigal Heya, kay Riz Annie, kay Ma'am Edna Lonan, thank you very much. Cook Jihan, yeah, maraming nagmamahal sa atin. Mira Minalov, thank you so much. Yes, don't worry, magpapahinga na tayo. Arthur Cortezano, yan. Thank you very much and God bless. Thank you very much also dito sa kabila. Sa YouTube for everyone joining us. Kay Kenneth Colminar, kay John Miranda, kay Ma'am Victoria, kay Luz, kay DLC. Thank you very much. God bless. And guys, talk to you soon. Salamat.